Guys, let's talk about mass incarceration from a public health perspective. I'm Annabelle Hedrick, and this is for my Fundamentals of Criminology class. In order to understand the criminal justice system, we need to look at it through criminology and biology lenses. From a criminology perspective, snap judgments and jury biases can bypass the logical prefrontal cortex and trigger the amygdala's fear response. From a biological perspective, chronic stress and high corticoids reduce empathy when punishment relies on stressful environments, and it can push people into a fight or kind of flight state rather than encouraging moral reflection and reform.
Brings us to the core problem, which is a system built on structural inequality and an us versus them mindset, which is a bias, right? So our current model operates on the assumption that punishment alone leads to moral reform. However, the data suggests that mostly leads to over-incarceration, which is what we're struggling with now in the United States, especially in California. So the people most victimized by the cycle are marginalized groups and those with low socioeconomic status. Instead of fixing the root cause, the system often traps them in a loop of recidivism and punishment that doesn't account for the biological and social stressors that they actually do face. That brings me into slide number 3, which is our proposal solution. So our proposal solution is a shift toward restorative justice and early intervention. So in order to do this, we need to move the needle from punishment all the way to rehabilitation. This is guided by John Rawls' principle of fairness. The idea that society should be designed to account for morally arbitrary advantages that some people are born with and others just aren't. So by focusing on rehabilitation in weeks 6 through 8 of this course, we see that addressing social inequality directly reduces the biological stress effects that lead to criminal behavior in the first place. And let's get into the fun part of how we can actually bring this into action. So number 1, we want to expand and make a restorative justice programs within prisons to prioritize healing over isolation. Then we want to provide robust, very strong mental health care and education for inmates so they have the tools to re-enter society. Ideally, I think this program should be started 6 months before they are removed from, I was going to say captivity, but that does seem wrong, incarceration. 3, then we're going to address inequality early on. So look at their socioeconomic status and be better at providing access to resources and opportunities in very high-risk, marginalized communities. We can stop the cycle before it even starts. Our limitations, critics argue that rehabilitation is too lenient and might reduce deterrence. However, the response is clear. Long-term reform reduces recidivism, which is the only way to truly improve public safety. While these programs do require significant funding and time, they are necessary for a system that balances fairness and accountability. I will leave you with my favorite quote from this course, which was by A.C. Ewing. It is possible that what he at first avoided from fear, he may eventually come to avoid because he has realized its badness. This is the ultimate goal of a restorative system. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed and learned a bit about my idea for looking at mass incarceration through a public health lens.